Hi, welcome to Echoes from the Satellite. I am your host, Karen, and I want to say also happy Halloween. Kind of think of Halloween as really being more like a month-long holiday. Um, Certainly, it's the spooky season, and a lot of us enjoy reading books that are focused on the supernatural, and I'm no different. And there's a particular book that I always come back to, maybe not every year, but frequently during October. And as a matter of fact, it has the word October in its title. I'm talking about Roger Zelazny's A Night in the Lonesome October. This is a delightful book. I really enjoy reading this book. I probably discovered it about 15 years ago or so. It was originally published in 1993. It was actually the final book published by Roger Zelazny before he passed. He passed in 1995. And I have to say, sometimes um, writers, creators of all types, musicians and artists, sometimes as they go on, they get stuck in ruts or they maybe lose some of their creative force. I know when I was reading Zelazny back in the day, um, his second Amber Chronicles, where he was writing about Corwin's son Merlin, I kind of felt like maybe he had lost a little of his mojo then. But this book is so good. He is at his top form in this book as a writer, a wordsmith, a tale teller. I don't know what to say. It is just so much fun to read. Um, I'll explain a little bit about the story. I don't want to give too much away, but you need to understand the setup to understand why it's so much fun. Essentially, this book takes place over the month of October, and the chapters are set up that way. So each chapter is a day in October. And the story is about these different characters who would all be very familiar to most of us, um, who are contending against one another throughout the month, uh, acquiring different things so that on Halloween night, they're going to oppose one another, either trying to open a gate to another realm, which is um, it's strongly hinted to be a Lovecraftian realm. Some of them are going to try and open this gate, and some of them are trying to close the gate, prevent the gate from being open. And the various characters involved, although they're not directly named, are all taken from literature or film. Zelazny obviously was fond of the Universal horror films. So one of the characters is Larry Talbot, the Wolfman. He figures in this fairly prominently. There's also the Good Doctor in his creation, The Experiment Man, which I've got my Frankenstein shirt on here today. And they have a role to play. The Count shows up and he is involved in the activities, although no one's quite sure what he's going to do. There's also, and I should say this takes place in Victorian London. The narrator of the book is a dog. Don't let that throw you off. There's a lot of animals in this because every character has a familiar. So the narrator of the book, Snuff, is very intelligent and he's trying to figure out who's on what side and what they're doing. And he is a lot of fun to listen to and his adventures he gets in while he's trying to figure out who's doing what. Some of the other characters, and his partner in crime, I should say, is Jack, who we sense is probably Jack the Ripper. So you can see there's a lot of interesting characters. Oh, and I should say the great detective and his assistant are also involved. So I don't know if Zelazny, I'm sure he read all of the Sherlock Holmes books, but I also wonder if he watched the Basil Rathbone films too. So this is a lot of fun. He still manages to keep a sort of, it's dark humor, a macabre humor to it. Um, there's a lot of situations that Snuff and his familiar friends get into that are quite dangerous. There is, murder and mayhem afoot. Um, but throughout it all, there is sort of this amusing tone to it all. All I can say is that it was a page turner, but it was delightful throughout. And so, yeah, I highly recommend this book. Oh, and I haven't touched on the illustrations. So Gahan Wilson, quite the famous illustrator, worked on this book. There's some great illustrations of characters and scenes in the book in his inimitable style. And actually, in the back of the book, Wilson drew himself and Zelazny as Holmes and Watson. I just thought that was hysterical. So there's some different essays out there where people have tried to connect the characters with their literary or film uh, uh, sources. And so I will put in the show notes, there was an especially good one by, I have to look at my notes here, Dr. Christopher Kovacs. And he seemed to be able to connect. There's a few characters that seem a little bit ambiguous. There's a witch, and she could be taken from Shakespeare, maybe, maybe not. There's a druid, again, maybe Shakespearean. If you do become interested in the book, I recommend reading some of these essays, especially Dr. Kovacs' essay. I thought was really good, and I'll put that in the show notes so if anybody wants to reference that. So, yeah, it's a fun book. I think nowadays people might call this fan service. I don't think we really had fan service back in 1993. But Zelazny is masterful at tying all of these characters together, tying the Lovecraft mythos into it, bringing these films into it in a way that does not feel, burdensome. It feels entirely organic. So yeah, I can't say enough. I don't do ratings on the channel, but I will give this like my highest recommendation if you're looking for something to read to give you that Halloween spirit. So please check out Night in the Lonesome October by Zelazny. You'll have a lot of fun reading it. Now, moving on, I just want to talk a little bit about some books I just acquired because, it's always fun to talk about books, isn't it? Isn't that why we're here? I stopped in a bookstore on the other side of the valley here that I almost never go into and picked up 3 books, and I was pretty excited about one of them. That being Andre Norton's Key Out of Time. So when I was a kid, I really enjoyed Andre Norton's Time Traders series. So the Time Traders series was YA before we had YA, and featured these young adventurers. This was written in the 60s, and it was broken up. Again, this was during the Cold War, so there was the US side, which was us, yay, and then there were the Russians, and the Russians were working with aliens, like from outer space. And both sides had time travel technology. And so they would do these adventures where they would travel back in time and either try to stop each other from doing things or obtain things. So it was a lot of fun. But I only found out recently that there was a 4th book. I always thought there were only 3 books. This is the 4th book. So now I'm excited to go back and reread those books and then add this book. And I've been planning to read some Norton, do some Norton on the channel. I don't see a lot of people talking about Andre Norton, which surprises me because I always felt like she was sort of a cornerstone of science fiction, at least 60s and 70s science fiction. That she wrote a lot of juvenile science fiction that I thought, would be sort of the bedrock for a lot of people. And I don't see people talking about it. So I do want to talk about her and kind of sing her praises. So hope to be doing some of that soon. Next thing I picked up was this Hugo Winners, Volume 2 here. This one I picked up because it has some really good stories in it. I've read one or two of these already, but listen to this list. This is like a murderer's row. The Dragon Masters by Jack Vance. No Truce with Kings by Paul Anderson. Soldier Ask Not by Gordon R. Dixon. Repent, Harlequin, said the TikTok Man by Harlan Ellison. The Last Castle by Jack Vance. And Neutron Star by Larry Niven. So, yeah, this is a good one. Some impressive, I mean, Hugo Winners you usually think are impressive, but it's a nice group of authors there. This one, Star Trek 10. Story with this is very similar to my story with my Planet of the Apes novelizations. At some point, I just got rid of them. Same thing with Star Trek. Don't really know what I was thinking. So I've been, grabbing them, trying to fill that collection back in. This is in really nice shape. And the covers on these books were always great. It's just a beautiful cover. So got that one. Now, the last book here. This last book I ordered from Thrift Books, which they do a pretty good job. A lot of the stuff I get from them, I don't pay a lot because I'm happy with a reader's version. I know some folks aren't, but I am. I had been watching Richard Rempel, his VintageSF channel. If you're not watching his VintageSF channel, what's wrong with you? Go subscribe to his VintageSF channel. It's great. He does a great job. He was one of the first booktubers I ever saw, and he just covers a lot of ground and has great taste. And so Richard is going to be doing something in November called Dino-vember, and it's about dinosaurs. Wow. It's going to be science fiction and dinosaurs. It's like chocolate and peanut butter, right? How could it get better? And this book, he said he's going to be reading this book, The Science Fictional Dinosaur. So this is a collection of stories by these folks here. I mean, I don't know. It never occurred to me, science fiction and dinosaurs like that. I mean, I read Ray Bradbury, but this is great. This sounds absolutely wonderful to me. So when he said he was going to be reading it, I thought, wow, I should get that too, because I don't have original thoughts, basically. So this is my plan for November. At least part of it is to read Science Fictional Dinosaur. It just, it appeals to the 8-year-old in me that is still highly active, as you probably could tell. Looks like a fabulous book, and then I'll let you guys know what I think of it. That's about it for this episode, guys. Again, I want to say thank you to all the folks who have been watching, liking, leaving comments. I really enjoy the comments. It's a lot of fun to interact with you folks. And just want to hope that, y'all are staying safe, staying healthy, and, reading good books. So anyway, I hope to see you soon. Take care and see you next time.